Yeah, I know that this review is a day late. Actually, no it's not, because from now on, my MLP reviews are going to be on Tuesdays. It's just more convenient for me and gives me more time to do this, because believe it or not, I put the most effort and, critical analysis into these MLP reviews. If I'm doing an animated atrocity or admirable animation, you already know what the end result is going to be. I just gotta explain how we get there. Not to mention the points thing. But you don't want to hear about those kind of things. Let's instead talk about Mod Pie. The episode, we'll talk about the character in a bit. This episode starts with the main six going to Pinky's house before the sun has even risen. Apparently, she's been making rock candy for her sister. This should be interesting. Incredibly interesting. The main six begin taste testing the candy for some kind of friendship tradition.
Today is Blorthog, the Tamaranian festival of friendship.
Sure, yeah, let's go with that. Pinky wants to celebrate Blorthog with her friends and her sister. Pinky tells everyone how great Maud is, and when Rarity reminds her, she dashes off to the train station. So the rest of the main six start a picnic, and Rarity shows up with a giant hat with rocks that keep falling off. Then all of a sudden, Pinky comes up to them, saying that Maud is coming. Maud comes up to them, sniffs a rock, and tells them the rock type. This scene is just as awkward as it needs to be.
And what is the delightful frock you're wearing now saying?
It doesn't talk. It's a dress.
Alright, I absolutely love the humor in this episode. I understand the dry humor and anti-jokes are a bit of an acquired taste, and if you're not used to them, this episode can come across as boring, but I actually find it a really refreshing turn on the usual humor of the show. Noelle Benvenuti definitely knows how to use it and use it well. And I do believe this is our final new writer of the season. And apparently Maud has a pet rock named Boulder. That pet rock is awesome too. Maud actually eats a rock that fell off of Rarity's hat. Not only does this episode prove that Pinky wasn't lying in the Cutemar Chronicles, but it proves that rock farms have an actual use if Maud can eat one and simply describe it as crunchy.
Boulder and I sometimes play a game called Camouflage. It's kind of like hide and seek, but way more intense.
Inflection is one of the most important elements of comedy, and they've got it down pat. Speaking of which, I was actually surprised that Maud wasn't voiced by Tara Strong. Me and many others thought that she sounded exactly like Raven from, the Teen Titans. Instead, it was Ingrid Nilsson, who I have never heard of before. The main six keep playing the game in order to keep Pinkie Pie happy, which isn't that easy when Maud hid the rock in her pocket. So Pinkie Pie and Maud go off, and it seems like they haven't exactly clicked. Twilight comes up with the idea for each of them to spend time one-on-one with Maud, and yes, each scene with Maud's deadpan tone make them absolutely hilarious. At the end of it, the rest of the main six tell Pinky that they can't exactly become friends with Maud, and if I had to issue a complaint with this episode, and I do, I'd issue it here, even though this is borderline nitpicking. Pinky's mane deflates right in front of them. I think it would be better if we saw it already deflated in like the next scene or something. It would give the emotions a little bit more time to sink in. Instead, sometime later, Pinkie Pie thinks that she figured out something to bring every pony closer together. And the way to do it is through a lost episode of Double Dare. Didn't see that one coming. Pinkie Pie goes through the course until she gets her hoof stuck in a rock pile. And she almost gets crushed by a boulder. Why are the rest of the main six just standing there? Because they're not good at reacting during shock. I mean, what would you do? During emergencies like this, people often end up just staring at them. Also, they tried to step forward before Maud took the helm and punched the boulder to smithereens.
Pinkie Pie, what were you thinking?
I guess I wasn't.
I know another episode that could have used that particular moment. Maud decides to go to the rock farm, thinking that there's nothing she has in common with Pinky's friends. Twilight realizes that they do have something in common, their relationship with Pinkie Pie. It's a nice ending, especially when we learn that Maud saves the candy necklaces that Pinkie Pie gives her, even though she doesn't like candy. So yeah, this is a really good episode as long as you have a penchant for dry humor. Acquired taste is probably the wrong word because subverted expectations is perhaps the most important rule of humor, and this episode does it beautifully. By making you expect a joke and not giving you the joke, it turns out to be funny. If you don't have a penchant for dry humor, I could see this episode boring you a bit, although I do hope the emotions towards the end are enough to reel you in. Nothing much else to say but Mod Pie rocks. Oh come on, you knew I had to say that.